Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Bricks King podcast, where I'm going to bend your ear about Lego, review those amazing bricks of plastic, and discuss what is new and up and coming around the Lego world. I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it. Welcome in, everybody. How are we doing today? Hopefully you're doing quite well. We've got another interview on tap from Brickworld Chicago, which took place last week, trying to pump these things out as quickly as we can get them out for all the contributors that took their time to be able to interview with me and just get to hear about their builds and share them with you. Today, we have an interview with Steve. Steve created this massive display of Fabuland. Those of you that are giant Fabuland fans, you are going to be blown away by this puppy because it's incredible. So let's go ahead and get right into this thing, and I hope you enjoy. All right, guys, we are here with Steve today, and another incredible builder, but this one's a little bit different. Some of you have this nostalgia factor built up in your brain for Fabuland, and there's way too much to talk about. So, Steve, thank you for coming and joining me.
Absolutely.
And sharing your love of Lego. But my God, Fabuland is a whole nother animal in its own. So you have this. There was a Fabuland display last year, and I had mentioned that to you before we started on here. Wasn't anywhere near like not anywhere near like that size. Yours is got to be what, 6 feet long, something like that.
It's 16 feet long.
Oh, I was way off.
And what is it? 4 feet wide. So
okay, so Fabuland. You've got a Fabuland shirt on. Tell me where I can get that. I'm gonna have to get one. I love the idea of Fabuland.
So Fabuland has some. There's someone who made some T-shirts. It's on TeePublic. You just go on their website, you just search Fabuland, and some merch will show up. Yeah, so you can buy whatever you need. So
tell us a little bit about what you built, put together, and why. That's always the biggest question. Why Fabuland?
Yeah, so why Fabuland? So Fabuland was interesting. So I'd heard about it, and actually not very long ago, like maybe 7 years ago, I actually even heard about the theme. As a kid growing up in the 70s and 80s, it was always classic space, castle, stuff like that. You just beat on stuff with your little brother and things like that. So what got me into Fabuland actually was a sport plane. It's Percy Pilot's sport plane. And I'm an air and space guy, so I was going to have this cool plane, and the fig was cool. Like, all right, I have that for this build I was going to do. Well, that plane came with another set. It was a country cottage set, and then it came with a poster. Okay. And the poster was, of course, the old school hand-drawn stuff and printed by Lego back in the day. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'll build this poster on 4 48 by 48 base plates. And then I started building that, and I was like, I need some more to go with this. And so the adventure began, essentially. So it grew legs big time.
I would say.
It started out as something small. I acquired all the stuff to build the poster piece and, had the landscaping and everything else. And then I was like, well, I need a town. What about a zoo? Oh, how about a lighthouse? And how about a carnival pier and an airfield? And so it grew.
You've got everything.
I got everything. Not everything. I'll probably a few things I don't have.
A little Fabuland city going on over there.
Yeah.
So, Fabuland obviously has not been around for a while, a good long while.
Since 1989.
So, obviously, people know Bricklink is like the go-to for all AFOLs to find whatever. Something from 19 whenever, original printing brick machine or something. Where did you go about trying to accumulate all of these things?
So this was a 4-year adventure, accumulating everything that's on that table. Plus, there's a lot of other stuff that's not on the table at home, just pieces of parts.
Yeah.
But essentially, it was eBay and Bricklink over that time period to collect everything I've got. Now, again, it was mostly just to fulfill the needs of the build that we were trying to put together. And of course, a lot of extra stuff came along with that. Like, I'm not going to order $5 of stuff from Europe. I'm going to order $200 of stuff.
Right.
So you always end up with more than you need. But that's essentially, it was a long adventure, but there's been a lot of stuff accumulated in that time.
There has been a lot. So the idea of Fabuland seems to be one of those things where a lot of people were like, I don't get it. What is Lego doing? At the time, like, this is not normal. What is going on? It's like the Paradisa stuff. Like, it was a weird time.
It was a weird time in Lego, but it was also a time when they were moving from kind of system, and they were looking to integrate, say, younger builders into the program, or into the hobby, or into the toy, and so it was something that they came out with, and it was interesting. You look at the books at the time, the instruction books that came with it, and they were very progressive for the time. Like, there was stuff like the little figures, they would be working on a house together, like, a male and female husband wife type of scenario, and they start arguing with each other in the instruction book, and then they would move out. They would separate. And the husband would be building something over here, and the wife would be finishing the house, and they'd get sad, and they'd come back together, and it'd be a real nice ending, right? But I was like, man, that's pretty strong
dark
for like an 8-year-old kid to be like putting something like this together.
We're not going to build military aircraft, but we're going to talk about the problems of divorce.
Yeah, social issues in the family. But a lot of fun things like that. And you'd have, like, they had a caravan set, and then the instruction book show they'd go camping on the caravan. There were 3 figures in the set, and then one would go out on the ocean to do some fishing. He got seasick and came back, and they were having to take care of him. The instruction books just by themselves are fun to read and look at, just because all the mental
the mental gymnastics that you're doing with it.
Yeah.
Well, because now they're kind of simple, right? They highlight piece, put piece here.
Yep.
Rotate, build this way, that way, the other. I would be okay with storyline instructions. It would keep me much more engaged.
Well, and that's the thing. It was a storyline in the book, in the instructions, right? But it's just images.
Right.
There's no like put AAP. There's no like these 5 parts go here.
Yeah.
It was just you'd see a picture in one page, and then the picture would be different the next page. You got to figure out what pieces go onto the model. Yeah. So I don't. Again, I was looking at a few of them, and I'm like a 52-year-old guy, and I'm like, what
did they just do here?
What did they just do here? And I don't know how a 10-year-old kid or 8-year-old kid could do it.
Focus on figuring it out. That's why the builds are always incomplete, don't you know?
Yeah, that could be, right? They're very simplistic, but fun to do, right?
So you are a part of, help me, Houston Brick Club. So I don't come across Texans up here ever.
Up in the north.
Very, very rarely are there any at shows up here in the Midwest North area. So obviously you drove. Correct. Okay.
1,000-mile 2-day road trip.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. So I did mine in a day. Mine was 1,036 or something like that. I'm a psychopath.
Oh yeah, that's hard. That's hardcore.
Brick Rodeo is 2 weeks from today.
3 weeks almost.
Yeah. It's coming fast.
2 days ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Are you going to have that down there? Are you going to have Fabuland set up?
So I showed Fabuland at Brick Rodeo last year.
Okay.
I'm a co-chair for the event this year, so I have no plans to show it there again this year.
Darn.
I will have a couple of small things that just can set out and be fine. But yeah, I'm not showing it this year again. This Brick World's the big show for me.
It is. Well, it's the biggest show in the U.S. And we were talking yesterday as a group of people. I think Brick World may be one of the biggest in the world.
It is one of the biggest in the world. I don't know.
I don't
where
know
it
who's
stands,
right.
But I can't imagine anything much bigger.
Shows get pretty intense, but my God, where are you going to get 1,700 contributors? And anyway, so it's sad to hear that I can't promote and say, guys, go to Brick Rodeo and go see this thing, because it is seriously a true work of art. I mentioned to you one of the designers from one of the design teams with Lego. His name is Justin Ramsden. Mm-hmm. And Justin is a huge proponent of Fabuland. Anytime I've gone to a show, and whether it be just somebody has just a single Fabuland set up, or they have something like this or something like I saw last year, I always make a point to take a picture and send it to him in social media, because he's not the only one. They all have their thing, right? They all grew up in a different timeline and enjoy different things, and so I can't wait to share that with him and see what he has to say about that. But Fabuland, your display, do you plan on adding to it? I mean, I know you said you have more stuff at home.
Yeah, it's already so massive. It's almost like I may take some stuff away. I don't know. There's Fabuland pirate ship I want to build, and then there's a football stadium where I'm going to have the elephants playing football against the bulldogs and do something.
Something wild with that.
A few fun things I plan on doing now. Whether they're integrated into that set or standalone, that'll be the other thing.
Okay. So back to what you have over here. You've got a whole big scene at play. Is everything meant to kind of play together, or is it kind of like individual ideas that are going on in this entire display? They're just grouped together.
No, it's literally meant to be a city, right?
Okay.
So a city on the ocean front. We got the big Carnival Pier on the left side of the build, and then kind of the sales piece that goes along with Carnival Piers. You've got all the seafood and stuff being sold on the dock, and then you come down into the kind of the heart of the town, and there's a small little airfield and things. So, and then it migrates out to the countryside, right? Yeah. So you got some farms and stuff on the right side of the build, and some camping areas, and a wind farm, like a small little wind farm piece on the far corner, right? So it's meant to be an encapsulated build all in one. And then, of course, a huge big backdrop to give it the box cover flavor from the Fabuland series back in the 80s.
Well, it works. It works really, really well. But I love it. It's nice to see. It's nice to see something old made new again in a more, I guess you could say, more of a modern way.
Yep.
Obviously, because the palette of Lego has grown, the catalog of parts has grown exponentially since then. Your Lego journey. Let's talk about that. Nobody just starts building Fabuland to that degree overnight. Where did the journey with the plastic brick begin?
I was 7 or 8 years old. I got my first Lego set. It was the Moonlander set, like, I don't know, 786 or something. I'm probably saying the wrong number, but it was an old set from the mid 70s, basically. And I got that for my birthday one year. My pops helped me put it together, and then the next year I got big Technique chassis, and then you're kind of getting in that 78, 79 when Classic Space starts hitting. And then that was basically Classic Space from then until it stopped, right? Just mental. We had a small little break in college, but always had, my brother had castle stuff, I had the space stuff, we'd battle each other and throw stuff. That's how toys get wrecked, by the way. You're brothers like destroying each other's garbage, right? Like, oh my God, I'm going to destroy your castle with my spaceships. So all that kind of was the dynamic in my family coming up. Sure. And through college, a little downturn for those couple years, and then out of college, you got a job, you get a little money. Star Wars hit, and then that's when a lot of people got back into it, right? So it was the same evolution from kind of the adult builders today. A lot of stuff as a kid, a little small break for college years, but not much. I even got some stuff at Christmas, even in college, and then really progressed from there. And then until I discovered my wife would buy me stuff every year, little, Star Wars stuff and things like that. But then I discovered the AFL community, right? So the adult builders out there was
that's where it really
an eye-opening experience. Like, wow, you can do this with Lego, right?
Yeah.
And it hasn't been that long of a journey, maybe 10 years or so, 12 years as a hardcore builder, building other stuff other than sets, right? So that's the evolution, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's crazy because you didn't really have much of a dark age.
No, it was just a couple years. Yeah.
And there's some people, like, I remember myself, I'm, a little bit younger, but I went through the military. There was no Lego.
Nope.
There was a few years after that, there was no Lego. And then it just was like, one day it was like, I'm going to Target. I'm going to walk down that aisle, and you come home $400 less in your bank account, in your wallet. With that in mind, your mock is incredible, by the way.
Thank you.
It's great. It's funny because there was a meeting that was had last night with RLugs and RLFM ambassadors last night. Were you in that?
I was not.
Okay. And it was interesting because there was an ambassador for a lug that had asked the question, there are people that like to bring sets, current sets or in the past, and display them, but some conventions won't let you. Brickworld doesn't seem to be one of those that's like, you can't do this, because there are a number of sets that are worked into scenes or mocks or whatever, and you have pieces of, because Fabuland is a different creature, built into this whole thing. So where do you stand on kind of that, since you have this partial set mixed with this whole big mock? Where do you stand on sets being incorporated into mocks?
Well, I mean, it's all up to the builder, right? So keep in mind, every single mock that exists today started as a set. Right? So you have to start somewhere. And a lot of times people who bring sets, I mean, yeah, you're like, oh, it's not sexy, it's not cutting edge or doing anything. But for that builder, maybe that's all they know how to do.
Yeah.
And they need to be welcomed into the community and start somewhere. So while I agree it's not great for cutting edge at a con, for that builder, it does bring them into the community, right? And then maybe next year they bring something different. So they got to start somewhere.
Sure.
So in that way, I'm not opposed to it. Of course, you don't want to see the whole place.
No, you don't want to
that,
see,
right?
Lego's current catalog sitting on a table.
Right.
No, I
but that's my take on that subject, right? So
it's just interesting to get a different opinion, and since the question was broached last night, I was like, well, it's kind of an important topic. It can be very controversial in cons and stuff like that. All right, so if you right now, Lego's catalog for adults specifically is incredible. I mean, they just announced the El Dorado Fortress that'll be coming available in July 4th. Mm-hmm. Where do you stand with Lego's heavily catering towards the adult community? Do you think they've done it right? Do you wish they would change some things? Obviously, a price point is always going to be, people are like, it's ridiculous how expensive things are. But where do you kind of stand on the catering towards adults with some of the old themes that are coming back, one-offs, but where do you stand with that?
So I like it, to be honest, because there's a lot of things that they're putting out that are really spectacular, right? From that standpoint. There's things I don't like about it. I mean, the price points are the price points. I'm in manufacturing, stuff costs money, right?
Yes.
But it does exclude some people.
Sure.
Like, instead of buying a couple things, they may only do one thing. So there is that piece where not everyone can enjoy it at those types of price points. That's the downside. But what they're putting out is spectacular. And I always like, okay, I'm going to save for 4 or 5 months. I'm going to buy this big thing, whatever the big thing happens to be. But not everyone can do that.
Yeah.
Right? So and that's the downside.
Sure.
But other than that, great stuff.
Awesome. I would agree. It can be very cost prohibitive, especially if I was talking to somebody yesterday, if you want to be a completionist, it's going to be really, really difficult to do. You may have to mortgage your house or move out or something. So the entire journey that you've had got you to this point with the Fabuland display that you have over there. Kind of touched on a little bit about the building sets and, starting from somewhere. Words of wisdom, words of advice that you would give to somebody that's looking to jump into building their first mock, or just, I'm going to try and do something that I want mock-wise. What advice would you give to them?
So I got 2 words for you. Just start, right? So the hardest part for me, and I've been doing it for a minute, is I will fret for months on end until I put the first brick down. And then it happens. But I'm like, got my plan. I lay it all out on paper. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. I got an idea. I'm thinking I'm going to build something a certain way. But, dude, you just got to start, right? So, and it doesn't matter how I build big because I can. I also build small, but just start with something. It doesn't matter what it is. Have it in your head. See something on TV. See something in nature. See something at the car lot.
Yeah.
And just try, right?
Yeah.
And you will develop over time. And then, of course, the community is amazing, right? Tons of pictures, tons of websites, podcasts.
There's books.
There's many things.
Somebody I had on before had said there's some kind of mechanical thing, and whoever builds it has a YouTube channel, and he's like, I love it because they build it and then they take it back apart. And he said, I could pause the video and see, how did they do this? How did they do that?
Yep.
So there's so many resources right now for anybody to just, like you said, I think the hardest part is just getting out of your own head and just throwing that first brick down and just see what happens. If you don't like it, you can always revise it. That's a great thing.
And it doesn't, it's not going to be great when you start. Not everyone's a genius at building Lego to start out.
Sure.
Everyone in this room, there's 1,600 people, and I don't know, a lot of mocks in here. They all started somewhere.
Yeah.
and they work to get to where they're at.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, just start. If you're someone listening and you haven't built a mock on your own yet, just try it.
Just try it. Just start.
Yeah.
I thought at first before you said 2 words, I thought you were going to say something else, maybe say just do it. And I'm like, oh crap, Nike's going to come after me now.
No, just start.
Steve, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anywhere that people can see your builds, maybe that you post up maybe on social media or somewhere else, if you want to share that with them?
Yeah, so you can hit me up on Instagram. It's bricks_by_Steve. Capital letter at the front of each of those words, and then that's where you can find me.
Awesome. So Bricks by Steve, capital letters, underscores obviously are in the middle of that. Guys, go check out Steve. Do you have pictures up of your Fabuland?
Yeah,
okay.
so Fabuland is on.
Most definitely, if you were not able to get to Chicago and see this, if you're hearing this, go look at it. You will not be disappointed at all. So, Steve, thanks so much for coming on and sharing your journey.
Right on. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, that's going to do it for another Brickworld Chicago interview. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Steve was a pleasure to talk to. He's a local Texas guy. I say local. He's down outside of Houston, which is always a good thing. But it was really great to talk to him and be able to get to hear about his build. And hopefully him and I will get to run into each other again in the future because, again, Texas is the best. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway. So we do have another one coming up here very, very soon. As I said, I'm trying to get out as many as I can and then also try and keep up with the Lego sets that have rolled in. We have Dreams we still need to talk about. We have the El Dorado Fortress. That episode will be releasing here in the next day or so. And then we have Sonic. We have all kinds of things still coming your way. I have not forgotten about Ninjago City Market. It is in process. There's about 5 different things in the process at the moment. So, until we meet again, I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it.